Hello, and thanks for coming along to And We Have an Office Dog, the digital agency podcast where we talk to agency owner-directors and learn more about what makes them tick. From the things that make them similar to the things they'd rather have known sooner, where they've had success and where they've learned some hard lessons. All will be revealed with your host, Chris Simmons, the agency coach, and he'll be talking to a different awesome agency person in each episode, asking them 4 questions and seeing where the conversation takes us over the next 25 minutes. Okay, so let us begin. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, voiceover guy. On the podcast today, we've got Levi McCurdy, all the way from the US of A. How are you doing, Levi?
Great. It is cold and rainy and dreary here in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Is that that's where all the American vampires live there, isn't it?
Yes. We house 90% of the country's vampires in the state. That's what we're known for. 100%. Yes.
I did wonder something like that, or cheese. Everything in America is something or cheese.
Yeah. I think we're chocolate. We have Hershey's chocolate. That's our claim to fame.
That's a good claim to fame. I definitely know of that brand. So Levi, you're the owner of Pixel and Hammer. Give us a big up. Tell us what you do.
Yeah, man. So, in short, I was thinking about this and running through it in the shower this morning, but Pixel and Hammer is basically a digital marketing ad agency. We help small businesses, nonprofits, larger businesses, anyone who comes to us, and it's a perfect fit. We will take their website, we will rebrand it, redesign it, redevelop it, give it a new backend, give it new life, and just bring it up to date for this year, if not next. And we do that through the power of WordPress and custom development. And we have an in-house team that handles all of that. We don't purchase themes. We don't use third-party software or anything like that.
Nice.
We rely on a few poor plugins, obviously.
Got you.
Yoast and Gravity Forms and stuff like that. But our core is for the client. So we utilize custom fields and other stuff like that to make our backends completely and utterly 100% for the use case of our clients every single time. So I think that's one thing that sets us apart. Not two of our sites are really the same ever on the front end or the back end. So that's kind of what we do. The company has been around and in business in this area for the last going on 10 years now. And I've been owner and in control and having a blast running it since 2020. And it's been a crazy 3 years so far, and I'm so excited for what we're doing and launching this year.
I think now's a good time to be in the development business, given what's going on in the world. And I think you're right. Using WordPress as a core platform, it's a brilliant place to start, or to at least run from my old web development business, almost purely WordPress.
Yeah. What's insane to me, man, is when I was in college, all through college, learning the code and the databases and the infrastructure and all that stuff, my professor swore against it. No WordPress, no themes. You're a developer. You will write your own themes. You will make your own plugins. You will code. And WordPress, you'll never use it. It's something that you will... they swore against it because it was basically 99% of everything they were trying to teach us in one little package. And then as soon as I get out of college, day one of my internship up until just yesterday, I'm logging into WordPress. So yeah,
is that the developer's equivalent of a teacher saying that you'll never have a calculator in your pocket?
Yes, 100%. I was on here, this kind of dates us a little bit, but the year was 2012. I was about halfway through college, almost graduating in 2013. I was on the tail end. I was one of the last classes, one of the last people who was required to take a Flash class. We had to make a game in Flash and then embed it on the website that we made for the game. But the teacher was just cool as shit because she knew it was a dying thing.
Yeah.
She was one of us. And we basically just told her what we wanted the game to do. And then the teacher coded it, and then we had to design it, and then they came together, and then everyone got an Addy because we knew this was obsolete in 20 minutes. So it's been a very interesting ride to see that transition from what our professors and what they thought was the key and goal in college to now, whoop, I'm pretty sure those same professors are working for companies that now use WordPress solely. So the world changes.
It does.
I love every aspect of it.
So what do you think's been one of the biggest successes that you've seen in running the agency?
Yeah, so like I said, I took over this business in 2020. The previous owner had started it with the founders, and just over time, the stress or other opportunities come up. Our previous owner, Emily, had an opportunity to go work with her husband at his company that she was dying to do. So she said, "Hey, do you want Pixel and Hammer?" And I'm an entrepreneur. Or I have another with wedding vendor. We DJ weddings on the weekends company.
Oh, nice.
So if I'm not making websites, I'm entertaining someone elsewhere. But it's so I took over in 2020. I said, sure, why not? And so I took over January 1st, 2020. And then 2 months later, it was announced that the world was shutting down to a national pandemic. And so, as you can imagine, this is like my bread. This is what pays the bills. This is what feeds my son. This job was like my 9-to-5 paycheck every 2 weeks for the last 3 years. And then now, January 1st, 2020, I'm the boss. I have to write those checks. I have to process the payroll. I have to get the money in and send the money out. Like, everything changes. And then literally 2 months after running that, the world shuts down. I was scared to death, but I would say that was probably my biggest success. I pulled in more sales in 2020 through COVID the first year than they had in past ownership. So it was
a pretty big success out of something pretty devastating then, really.
Yeah, well, because I mean, even we didn't know how to handle it. Obviously, I've always said I need an internet connection and a Panera Bread to do my job, and that's been the case, pandemic or not. But now it's funny because 99% of the world knows where we've come from for the last 10 years, like the whole working from home and working in the cafes and the Starbucks. Now it all makes sense. So it's interesting to me when that did happen. The cultural shift. I mean, just the shift to Zoom alone was fascinating to me, and I think that just helped having all of our clients be able to just like, hey, let's just hop on a Zoom call. We don't need to stop our website project or this portion of our business. It's all digital anyways. Half of our clients are an hour, 45 minutes, an hour and a half away sometimes, so we are going to see each other in person anyways. So it was certainly a challenge navigating through that pandemic, as it, I'm sure it was for everybody. But jumping into that deep end of the pool for the first time, with just that looming in the background, and then making it the best year ever as far as sales and client retention and, everything else that happened that year, was our best year ever, oddly enough. So,
which is pretty good success. I mean, I've been speaking to quite a lot of agency owners that I work with, and they used to have it in they'd go and speak to a client, they'd be in the sales process, and the client would say, "Oh, it'd be nice to come to see your office," as if to sort of say, you need a physical office with a physical desk and a physical team at the same place to do to win the work. And now it's big ticket clients, you'd make the effort to go see them and things like that, but for the most part, you don't have to do that now. I'm actually meeting quite a lot of my international agency owners via my Oculus Quest, and we're doing quite a lot of our sessions in the metaverse.
Really,
and it's so obviously when you work with web-based businesses, it's a little bit easier on that adoption curve. But I've been finding that something 2 years ago, if I'd have said, "Hey, do you want to try and meet on a virtual reality world?" everyone would have laughed. Now it's being adopted quite nicely. I did a meeting this morning where we built a 3-year plan for an agency leader on a massive whiteboard in the metaverse. It was like an infinite whiteboard. Yeah,
wow,
it's brilliant. The whole thing's recorded. It's brilliant.
What's interesting to me is I would put myself on the front line of tech. Like the day the iPhone comes out, I'll tell you everything about it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 Macs in this room right now, and it's just me. There's a PC that we're on now. Like there's a Rodecaster. There's 10 microphones. Again, just me. Like, I'm ready for an apocalypse, and if I need to store 10 other creatives here at any given time, but it's just me. And so, but like, I have not touched the metaverse yet. I've seen the TikToks. Are you doing like the goggles with like your free computer screens, and that's how you're working and coding and checking emails?
Yep.
Wow. And that's okay for you. Like it doesn't bother you. There's no.
It's the good thing is those. The good thing is those sorts of things they get better and easier over time. You just get used to it over time. But I think the adoption of these things means the technology gets better, which means you then end up going from I can't do the work because I can't see you to okay, let's force our way onto Zoom and play with all the buttons and you're on mute all the time, to let's have a strange conversation in the metaverse, to let's do an entire 3-year strategy in the metaverse, and it works really, really well. But so if you could go back in time to not just when you first started, but that build up to starting out, and give yourself a piece of advice, because you were taking over an already established running business. So what piece of advice would you give to yourself now, knowing everything you know, forgetting the pandemic, obviously, because you can't cheat and
Sure.
I would say I have 2. I'll go back and then we'll jump forward, and then I think that should suffice the question. But I would say going back now, and this one's a little bit, might get flack for this, might not, little controversial.
We'll see.
I would say my rethinking my college education when it comes to this industry. Not necessarily saying not going to college. It is now in 2023, maybe not the best thing to be talking about. I foresee a very big change with the metaverse and AI and everything happening in that realm. So we'll see if college even exists in 10 years. But I worked for a company once where the person above me went to, say, just a community college, where I went to a for-profit public art school. So naturally, I paid 10 times as much as she did, but she made 3 more times than I did in salary. And so when I did that math, it didn't math for me. The math was back in that day. And that kind of like made it click. And then, of course, now with just YouTube, masterclass, your course, his course, this guy's course that you find off a Facebook app, whatever it might be, you can learn it online for free if you sit down for a few hours and look and learn. And so I would maybe have reconsidered that for myself, and maybe learned it on my own or in a different way, or maybe not in that professional college semester structure. And then the other thing is, when I took over, there was a very big discussion between me, my peers, some people I was still working with, on rebranding and changing the name. I think a lot of companies will just ride and die with the thing and the name that they've had since the very, very 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's my name. This is what it means. And it's like, but is your company still serving that purpose, right? And so I think if I look back at it, the one thing I would have changed 3 years ago is we would have went through like a name brand, like a rebrand and a name change when I took over. But Pixel Hammer is still a great and awesome name, and the legacy behind that brand is amazing. So
it's a cool name.
Yeah, well, for sure you've got it there.
You've got a good opportunity, though. You've got a good opportunity. If you're as good as you say you guys are, then you could do it and prove that it works for a case study perspective. But that's another podcast for another time. So is there something that since taking over, is there something that you guys have done which you kind of learned very quickly the hard way and changed. Anything that, it was spotted quite early on, hopefully, that it wasn't going as well as it could do, and you did something about it?
Yeah, so this one kind of comes on the aspect of the admin side of running and owning the business. So not sure how much value that will have to your listeners. Hopefully,
Probably quite a lot.
Okay, perfect, great. So I didn't know the range of the audience as far as like employee versus owner.
Hopefully, I've marketed this well, so it's only agency leaders.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So, one thing, and it seems very simple, but it turned out in the matter of 6 months to just be a nightmare of a headache. We had an infrastructure where any new project that came in, we would split payments 33% to start, 33 once the design's approved, 33 once the site launched. And I don't remember who on my team, they're probably fired now, but someone on my team recommended we do a 50-50 instead of 33-33. And so last year, all of our new projects in like the first half of the year until I shut it down, started 50-50. And that deemed very, very difficult, just for billing and organization and having to pay, because each project gets split between the business, the developer, the designer, and the project manager. So just getting 50-50 payments means like both of those payments are going immediately because everyone's waiting for their piece of the pie. When we did the 33, it's a lot more breathing room because I can take care of the project manager in payment 1, still have some money left over to breathe. Take care of the designer in payment 2, still have money left over to breathe. Take care of developer, myself, whoever, business, and payment number 3, and still have a little bit money left over to breathe. Whereas that 50-50 split took all those breathing margins away, just because everyone was already in line waiting, either for the next project or that cut. So it was a very, very small, but very stressful mistake. Just because there were times where all of our designs were done. So my designer had 1, 2, 3, 4 projects done, waiting for those invoices, but I wasn't getting paid for that portion of the project because my developer needed 3 months for this, another 3 weeks for that, another month for that, and however long those projects lasted, or however long that development took. So now my designer has to sit and wait for the developer, and it wasn't a good structure. And obviously, if that's a rookie mistake, then so be it for me. But it was interesting to see the same amount of money coming in, but at different times, it was certainly a challenge.
One thing which is super hard to get your head around when you first start running a business, that it doesn't matter if the same amount is 100% of the money eventually. The cash flow of that money makes a big impact. So splitting the payments over a certain amount of time or different milestones makes it a hell of a lot easier. But it also, you might go, well, it's still the same 100%, but okay, 70% of that money has now been accounted for and paid and everything is dealt with. It's a lot less stressful. We used to do, I can't remember specifically, so let's just say it was 50, 20, 20, 10. So that the final payment was really low and really easy to commit to. But it was the final payment that got the site live. Then that meant that, for example, that if there's some snagging issues that are in the warranty or anything like that, but you need to get the site live because of utilization and things like that, you say, look, pay the final 10%, the site goes live, we've got a warranty agreement which will cover those issues over the next 6 months or 6 weeks or whatever. But it used to help mean that we can then put one project to bed, and the developers that were looking after the kind of the warranties of websites, they were then starting their job rather than sitting and waiting for developers who then had double the amount of workload. And it worked well. It seemed to work well. I'm not saying it works for everyone either. What's something that you did, conversely, what's something that you did almost straight off the bat that you have either stuck to or has been like a big win that you absolutely love?
Something that I did right away and something that I'm doing now, and something that it just seems to be a yearly thing for me. Um, and I don't know how other agency owners handle it, but I think it's worse for me because I'm also a web developer.
Right.
I scrap our website like almost every year. I love it. And then come November, December, I look at it and I'm like, this is doing nothing for us. There's no value here. There's no SEO. We need more forms. We need more links. We need this, the design. What? So I think that's our biggest challenge as a business. I think internally, to be honest with you, it's just our brand and our site and our blog and our marketing materials. You know, we put obviously we have to market ourselves. It's how we get our business.
Sure.
But when it comes to the dedication, the time spent, you know, on our clients and making sure that they have the best keywords and titles and pages and this and that, you know, at the end of the day, your site and your duties kind of fall to the side. So, and then so that was my biggest thing since I've taken over. Our site has completely changed in design twice now. Like I said, once a year, right on cue, and I have a new theme and like something ready to go that we're doing a huge content overhaul now for. So it's a blessing and a curse. Our website is, it's a shame because it's like I can't not do anything about it. It's like, you're a web developer, so just gonna do it and make it great.
Yeah.
Thing.
So a similar kind of problem that quite a lot of agency leaders have, and I think you'll recognize this partly because of what you said, but perhaps because of other things, is like the risk of shiny things like new tools or new well, you've got like 15 microphones, like you say. The risk of shiny stuff, it takes your attention away like a magpie. You don't know where to focus your attention because, okay, I'm going to build my website. That's a scheduled thing that goes through there. But I'm going to use this new technology, which I need to learn, and I need to build this thing, and I've got to integrate that. And then all the shiny things eventually add up to quite a lot of confusion over time. But it is good to make sure that for anyone selling websites in particular, you've got to make sure that the site that you're using as your marketing collateral is actually a sales piece as well. So it's vital. So totally understand that one. So if someone's listening to this podcast right now and they're in a similar position to you where maybe they're being offered to take a larger stake of or the whole part of a business, or indeed maybe just looking to start an agency for themselves from scratch, what one thing do you think you'd give them as a piece of advice that they could take away?
Yeah, I'd say keep it simple. I'd say just don't make promises you can't keep. You know, if you are not good at writing blog posts, don't offer blog posts as a service. If someone asks you if you offer that as a service, you know, we've made that mistake plenty of times before. You know, it's really easy when a client comes to you and says, "Hey, we've got a bunch of grant money. Here's 10 grand for the next year. We need you to post on our Facebook page, write a blog post, do this for us, and do this every month." And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of money. And sure, I'll do that. I'll figure it out. I'll take a month to figure it out. I'll hire someone to write this post. I'll buckle down and just make your social post for you. But then it's not work that we enjoy doing. It's not work that, gets done on time because we don't enjoy doing it. And so I'd say don't be afraid to turn down projects. Something that we pride ourselves on and something that we've done this year a lot, or not this year, but last year a lot, was just turning down projects, maybe because of time, maybe because of industry, maybe because of who they are as a person, or, whatever it is. We've put ourselves in a situation where we're able to do that, and I'm super proud of that we don't say yes to everything that comes in. Would you say to make that into a single sentence, something like be comfortable with saying no more? Yes. Yes. Get comfortable with saying no. because that I learned this year. This year as a business owner was one of the roughest, I think, just because I had to say no to employees who are no longer employees anymore, clients who are no longer clients, and so on and so forth. So it's that's the hard part of it. But at the end of the day, you will run yourself into the ground if you say yes to everybody. And so saying no, it's just something that I adapted. And when the first time I said it, it was I don't know what doing drugs is like, but I would imagine that's what it. I would imagine that's what it felt.
Yeah.
When I said
all the cool kids are saying yes to clients.
Right. Well, right. Let me tell you, this true story. We canceled the project. The site was designed, coded, paid for, and we had to tell the client we were done. We walked away, and we were done just because of the way they delivered content. I mean, we got a binder in the mail of like 100 loose leaf sheets. I got an email with 15 other Word docs. I got another email with like just text in the email with edits. So we had stuff everywhere. They weren't cooperating. So we had to fire them, unfortunately, at that point in the project. Walk away. The site's gone. You know what I mean? But making that decision for the business and our sanity and everything else was one of the best choices we ever made. The client understood completely. We actually still talk to them, and they still pay us occasionally for things. And we said no, and so it felt great. Yeah,
you did it the right way around. So I mean, an excellent piece of advice to end the podcast on really is to say yes less or be comfortable saying no.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for being on the podcast, Levi.
Yeah, no, this was great, man. I love the accent. I love the name. I love everything about it. I love it. What kind of I apologize. I don't think I did my research. What kind of dog do you have?
Oh, it's the working Cocker Spaniel, who's a terrible gun dog. So he can be useless in America.
Yeah, gotcha.
But thanks very much for coming on. And in the next podcast, we'll be talking to another agency leader to hear their lessons and things they've learned along the way. So thanks very much for coming on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me.